There it is. I did something a little bit different today. I did this. So, instead of doing a character, I decided to do more of a pattern or blending because I haven't done it in a while. So, the pattern is based on the shirt I'm currently wearing, which looks like this, which you can't really see very well because that's good enough. It's based on that, and I think that just highlights how close the shades of red are. But more importantly, this isn't that bad. It's bleeding a little bit, but I've found out a technique to stop it bleeding. Because it basically only bleeds if you go over the same bit more than twice. My technique for using anything alcohol, ink related came from Sharpies, and Sharpies were much harder to make bleed. And so when I was doing small details, I would essentially treat this as if it was a pencil, meaning that I would end up not going over the same place twice. So if I just grab this like pink over here, right, and get a bullet nib. So I was kind of onto the right thing before. So if I just kind of go with like a very careful little shading pattern like this, it's a look like this, and then just kind of fill in the blank spaces. You see, look, that's solid. That's bled. That's not bled at all. Anyway, that's just completely fine. But if I go how I would used to do it, which is basically you go nice and slowly, you go over the same place multiple times. Like that, look, you can already see it's bleeding. You'll see it's a lot darker as well. So the basic idea is you need to go fast, and you just need to kind of space out a little bit, and then just be very quick and go in the little gaps in between, like that. And it doesn't bleed. Look at this down here now. I know it's a bit dark, but you can see here, look how much that's bled already. It doesn't look like much, but this is what caused... Oh my god, the lighting is so bad. Let me get my... There we go. That's a bit better. Okay. So like these little... This bleeding that this does here, like it doesn't look like much in any way right here, but that's what causes this shit to happen. Alright, so this is important if we have to deal with it, okay? And so the technique I've discovered is this one, which is, you just go fast and then you go back through one more time and do all the gaps. Because that way you can just afford to not be very precise. And as well as that, I decided to do a little bit of blending again, because I haven't done that since like the original blending exercise, not this way. Right at the very, like this here, I haven't done any since this. And since obviously I've been blending with each of these pictures, I've wanted to sort of see how far I'd come already. And it turns out quite far, because I've gotten to know my colours a lot better as well. So I now know how they all interact with each other a lot better. So I decided, just shits and giggles, to try and blend from the red, the dark red, to the black. And it's not the smoothest transition, but it looks much better. For comparison, a similar sort of blend I did before was this. And this, look at this. Look at how bad this ended up coming out. It bled everywhere. It bled through to this page, and as you saw here, it literally like warped to this, and it feels like paint to the touch. It feels so weird. But this, if I go through to here, this bled through as well, right? You can see here it bled through as well. It didn't bleed through as much, but also it didn't like warp out. It stayed here. It stayed in the blend, and actually is a much smoother blend. Going from red to black is not easy. And I actually had to use, I think I had to use a total of 5 colours to get to here. So I had to use the obvious one, oh shit, the black, and the red. I had to use them two, obviously. But then I also used the 2 greys I had. The lighter and the darker one, to help blend the black through here. And then to blend the red through, I had to use these 2 browns. Now originally I was just going to use the greys, but I found that the greys, although they lightened the tone of the black to the same as the red, it didn't help with the actual hue. It only helped with the tone. So I had to use the browns to try and also change the hue from this warm red to not only. So I used the browns to darken the tone of the red and blend the hue this way. You can kind of see the brown over here. And I had to use the greys to lighten the black and blend it with the hues of the brown. So you can kind of see this in action. And I'm also going to put my lid on this before it dries out. Yeah, so I don't know where my lid's gone for this. That's not good. But yeah, so let me move this real quick. Slight panic as I don't find. There it is. I found it. It was all the way over there behind my pencil case. Okay, anyway, so that was this blend here. So this was a difficult blend to do, but I did it. It's completely fine. So this was the next blend I did. This was like the Miami Pink, which I also did a while back as well. So I did like a variation of it here, but this is the one I'm more concerned with. Like these two are the ones I'm more concerned with, because these are the ones that are actually much closer to it. This one especially, where this like looks like I've dragged the red across. This one actually is a blend, not only between the like pinks that we had at the very beginning, these two, which look so much nicer now, as you can see, but also with the orange as well. And I think that came out really nice, like a really warm, almost Neapolitan look, which I think came out really well. And also this green as well, if you may remember. Look, see, it bled a little bit around the edge because I wasn't being very careful with this one. But the green actually was back here as well, here, in this little ball shape. And this one looks pretty good, and they still hold up, both of them. But I also did the ball up here as well. And I'm not sure whether I prefer, and I think the blue one I need to update. I need to do a better version of the blue one. But I definitely prefer the yellow one to this green one, because the lighting looks a lot more like it's an actual, light. Like here's the reflection here of like the light, and it gets darker as it goes around. But yeah, so I really like how this yellow came out over here. So yeah, this is what I've done today for day 10. I think, although I didn't do a character or anything like that, I really think this is important, both as a skill check for how the blending's coming along after I've been using it practically for a little bit, but also because it helped me identify what the actual problem was with the bleeding. And it was that I was going over the same place too many times. As you can see here, I went over it too much, whereas up here, it's still clean. And the thing is, like, it's not like you can't go over the same place more than twice, alright? Like, for example, I could go over, like, these bits of the black completely fine. It's just, like, the edges I can't go across, because the edges obviously will bleed over to the next colour, or if it's in the middle, it'll just bleed over to more black, so it's completely fine. So, like, if you're just trying to get a solid colour, then it's whatever, that's fine. And you may also notice that the outline of this is actually bleeding 0, and this is alcohol marker. This is the alcohol black. Now obviously it's like, you may think, oh, is it bleeding on the edge? No, I just went over, I just drew it too far, because I'm an idiot. Like, especially down here, like, I drew that line way too far. But yeah, this was literally two black lines. I just took the bullet nib and just went zip, zip on each side with a ruler. But I did it last. I did it after everything else was already done, so it couldn't bleed over. So, like, I'd done it, I'd already dried it. I did this little blend down here, and then I went... So, there you go. Outlining is always good to do afterwards. I'm tempted just to go over back this again in black, but I'm not going to, because that would ruin the pattern. But, it's a good thing to remember that I can just always go over again later. But as you can see underneath here, this is highlighting the problem which I was talking about yesterday, which is the ink, not the ink, sorry. Oh yeah, the ink. The ink covers up pencil. So if I do pencil lines and then leave them there, I can't rub them out, which sucks. So, I think in future, unless I'm fine with leaving pencil lines there, which usually, unless the pencil lines are being covered in black, which is the best thing to do, ideally I should probably, get to a point where I can probably identify this is the pencil I used to sketch it. So instead of doing how I normally sketch, which is like this, like really careful, like feathered pattern. I'd probably be better off doing a more like hard line like this. You may say, well, that would make it look more visible, which is true, but that's not the idea. And I'd probably be using, because I'm using currently a HB pencil, you'd be better off using a just solid B pencil. And the reason why I'm doing this is like, if I just do another one down here, like this, right? So HB pencils can be rubbed out pretty easily. Let me grab my eraser, which is just over here. If I just now rub out this bottom pencil here, I'll make to do this with both my hands, because otherwise I'm going to have a nightmare trying to rub it out. So, if I just do this, and now the pencil's completely rubbed out, you can still see the engraving of where it was, right? Now this wasn't the best example because it's HB, but if it's just solid B, then all that lead would come out. H pencils have a habit of not getting rubbed out very well, so HB pencils are great for like sketch drawings, but if they're just actual sketches, like rough sketches, they're not very good. But as you can see here, like this is still here, and these are basically, these start off as the same thickness, but like this is now barely visible, and if I drew over this with this red, you basically won't be able to see it. So yeah. Today was a pretty productive day, even if I didn't draw a character. These two pages also took the same amount of time, by the way. So this was just a lot. This was basically just more study based than it was actual illustration based, and I'm glad of what I found out. So tomorrow I'm probably going to maybe do another pattern, or I'm not too sure. We'll see how I feel. I'm either going to do another pattern, or I'm going to do a character illustration and try and do it with as minimal bleeding as possible. I'm not too sure what I'd be able to do. I might be able to do like a environment at some point as well. Maybe like a sunset with this sort of blending would be quite nice to do, especially with a sun that looks like this. So maybe I'll do a sunset tomorrow. I don't know. I'll see how I feel. But yeah, this is what I did today. So much more productive than yesterday.